Now I know everyone out there has at least had one car in their life that they had a soft spot for, and this happened to be mine.
It's kind of crazy to think they have a soft spot for a car that looks like it's been through a tornado.
Look, just hammered in.
Literally, that's all it was.
Completely botched.
And it doesn't just stop there. It's about to undergo a full transition, and the car's beginning to look like it's had liposuction.
That's a lot of cables. You also might be thinking, why my parts are wrapped up? Well, genuinely, it's very cold here, so I like to keep my parts warm. Nah, no jokes, but knowing me, the catastrophic outcomes I've had in the past, it's just so I don't damage the parts, because obviously they've all been powder coated and I don't want to have to go back and re-powder coat something, hence why they're all wrapped up.
You'll see soon enough how much space this harness will take up, and I need as much space as possible. I'll pretty much just lay a blanket here first. That way I'm not sitting on cold concrete when I lay this harness out. I ended up just grabbing 2 packets of all-purpose blanket pretty much. So moving blanket, this only cost me about 10 bucks each. So that's about 4 meters together in length. So hopefully that's enough. That's about 4 meters total. Now I know some of you might say it looks like I'm aging meat in the background with all the parts strung up on hooks, but it's only because I don't have space.
How sticky this stuff is.
This harness right here is actually for the back 2 doors. So we're going to be using this one as well, but we're going to do this one a bit later. First, we want to tackle the big one, okay? That's the one I want to get out of the way first. So I've got some good news. Like every other harness, there's a starting point. We just got to find it. So before removing this harness, as you might see, I've actually labeled all the cables, so it is a lot easier for me to identify where's the front, where's the back, and where they'll lead to. If you are removing a harness like this, definitely take that extra time to just put some tape on it or something and just label it. So let's start identifying where is the front and where is the back. Sometimes I wish I just didn't have too much attention to detail, because I will tell you right now, you will never catch me doing this again. So enjoy it while you can. Well, unless it's an M3, then I'll definitely do it. But it went from going from a 2 to a 3-day job to I'm not even done. Now I'm actually making a lot more progress than I thought. I thought it was going to take a lot longer, but I actually didn't. So I'll show you what we've got done. So we've identified where this has to pretty much sit. Now I just got to go through this side. I'm not sure exactly what this is. There is a harness here that's actually not connected to nothing. This one here, so I've got to try to figure out where that actually goes. Hopefully it's somewhere nearby. Lucky there's actually part number right here, which will be able to tell you where actually it goes. And would you look at that, Volkswagen right there. We actually got some wires that we're actually going to be fixing, because I do not know where these wires go. And as you can see from that accident, these wires actually like either ripped or broken or missing connectors, and that's not good. Now before I even start anything, I gotta take a moment to pretty much just process what I'm getting myself in, because just by looking at it, I'm gonna be here all night. Might as well just go get my, what is that thing called, tent? I might as well go get a tent and a pillow and a whatever else. Anyway, so I ended up buying about 6 rolls of fabric tape, fleece tape, whatever you want to call it. You tell me in the comments below if you think that this is going to be enough to wrap this whole harness. Well, that looks like spaghetti, mate. I don't know what the hell you call that, but yeah, that's no good. I feel sorry for the guy that actually has to do this on a daily basis, because this is not fun. Obviously he's been cutting corners because this is some sloppy work right there, but we're making progress. So follow along as we just continue to do this. We're about 3 hours in, I'm pretty sure from the last time I looked. 3 hours in. We only got another 48 hours to go. Man, last night I got so late. It was about 2 a.m. by the time I finished. Well, I didn't finish. I'm probably like 60% done. There's not much left to go. It's small. The smaller ones will take a lot longer. And like my nails hurt, my fingertips hurt.
My fingers hurt.
Oh, well, now your back's gonna hurt.
Like all night when I was sleeping, oh man, like I can't even explain to you how much my hands, my back, and just everything was working. I'll show you the progress anyway. I did end up zip tying it all, because obviously you might know as I unwrap this tend to go everywhere. So I've obviously zip tied it to keep everything obviously with each other. As you can see, there's like 500 zip ties there. Volkswagen. But did I end up using all 6 rolls of fabric tape? Yes, I did. All 6. How much more I need? I do not know. But I'm going to assume about 30 more rolls to finish this. I decided to actually do some work to the car and just leave that harness for now, because I did run out of
more fleece tape, which is those 6 rolls that I bought. We still got to prepare the car for the harness. If that makes any sense, makes no sense. But anyways, I want to get into that, and let's start at the front. And before we start at the front, I'll actually show you guys how much parts we have to remove from this car. So obviously the boot lid is plain. Obviously we just recently installed that. We still got a ton of wires hanging here. All these wires are obviously going to get removed because that's now not going to be the harness we're going to be using. We still got a lot of interior trims. We've obviously stripped this area. We still got a lot that we got to strip from the front that hasn't even been touched. 2 door cards, and yeah, let's get started with the front part and see what else. Yeah. And before we can start removing the harness from the inside of the car, we got to remove the harness from the front side of the car because that's where the fuse box is, which means the engine must come out. And before we can get the engine out, we got to get the headlights off, we got to get the battery out, we got to get the air intake off, we got to get all this wiring, cables, such and such, crash bar off, intercooler, and this radiator support. So let's get started. This is definitely the part I'm most excited about. I've been wanting to do this for so many years. Although I was going to keep this engine and just do the gearbox, because if you see this engine side by side, the S3 and the A3, they're literally identical. The only difference is the displacement. Mine's a 1.8 and the S3 is a 2 liter. I think the biggest reason I want to do this transformation as well is the gearbox, because I was so torque limited. It's a dry clutch gearbox, 7-speed. As for the S3, it's a 6-speed wet clutch. I was going to do an RS3 gearbox in this, a DQ500, but the price that they're asking for those is just ridiculous. And because we're not breaking any records, no egos, the standard gearbox is more than enough for what we're chasing. And considering that the engine is outside of the car, it's a very good time for me to upgrade some parts that I've been wanting to do as well. But before I can even attempt to put that engine back in the car, that engine needs a lot of work, and it's probably just as much work as the actual car itself. If you got any type of Audi or Volkswagen, this is the tool you're going to need. So what this does, you can take a look what it looks like. I think I got it from Amazon, it's like 20 bucks. It's pretty much used to remove any connectors. So like these connectors right here, like that, or like just anything random. I'll show you pretty much how it works. So you're going to put it on, and it pretty much goes like this, right? Slips in there, and you pull up on it. Look at that. Just like that. Look how easy it pulls that off. So you don't have to break it off. You don't obviously lose your temper. Definitely go and grab yourself one of these, but I'll put in the link in the description. So this is probably one of the next things I want to remove. Obviously I'm gonna have to remove the headlight first, but in order to remove this radiator support, I pretty much got to disconnect all coolant lines, any things like any wires, any cables, in order for me to be able to remove that. And then I'll have to remove the crash bar. But let's start with the headlight first. Removing this headlight, there's only 3 screws up top, and don't forget the one at the bottom. You will not see that one. It's well tucked away. And if you guys got any questions about the aftermarket parts that I use on this car or anything in relation to the car, you can even comment down below, or you can send me a PM. I'll get back to you, because a lot of the parts that are on this car are actually built for the car, and I got them custom fabricated. There's 2 different places where this washer fluid reservoir will be located. It's either where mine is, where originally you should have auxiliary coolers, or on the right side of the engine, where it is obviously on the S3s, the Golf Bars, and even most A3s, depending on what gearbox system they have. And because we're going for a full hectic setup this time around, we are no longer going to be using that reservoir tank. So we're going to have to relocate it and maybe go with a different design. There are a few options out there. I haven't really thought that far ahead, and I should probably be concerned. Ended up removing a lot more than I thought, considering I did start later in the day. It's getting very dark. As you can see, the sun's going down. Tomorrow we'll start a lot earlier. There's only probably just a few wires, cables and stuff like that that's holding the engine together, that's attached to the gearbox. 90% of the stuff pretty much removed in order to drop it. The only thing that's holding is obviously a transmission mount, engine mount. Tomorrow we'll get the hydraulic table lift that slides in there. That's what I'm going to use to lift out the engine. I do have an engine hoist, but I prefer this, that way I can roll it around. The only thing that's stopping me, obviously I'm going to do this tomorrow. Obviously it's getting too late, I can't do it in the dark, I don't really want to, but apart from that, we're good for tomorrow. We got a hydraulic table for the engine, so that I'm going to be removing today, well, attempting. Hopefully everything goes well, but yeah, let's start with this. And you will notice that I still got my factory intercooler in place, and that's because the factory intercooler sits in the radiator support, and if you remove it, your radiator is pretty much just going to be flying everywhere, and your air condenser. Hence why I left it in there. Because the S3 does not come with a front mount intercooler. That's something I had to fabricate on my own. I had to do a lot of chopping on that radiator support in order to fit it. And I also had to put an RS3 bumper because, as you know, RS3 does come with a front mount intercooler. The second I disconnected the air condenser, man, I gapped. That thing scared me. I did not know what was going on. I've never disconnected the air condenser, and that shit was terrifying. But now all I have to do is I got to remove a few plastics, few wires, get them out of the way, detach a few things. I still got coolant lines that are running to a turbo that I got to remove in order to be able to pull this engine forward. Other than that, it's literally just 3 bolts here, 3 bolts here that are all holding this engine in place. As you can probably tell, the engine is literally shaking, like literally shaking. But anyway, we're going to jump onto that. Because this thing sits pretty high, as you can see off the ground, it was very hard for me to get the engine on. I had to actually pull the engine forward. But anyway, I got it on there now. So now I'm just going to go ahead, remove a few more wires, maybe coolant pipes, aircon condenser wiring. And then this engine should be good to come out. Now I'm just trying to get a few more coolant lines out of the way. These ones go to the water pump, and also I need to remove some AC lines that are still attached to the car. Before I do put the other new engine in the car, I am going to replace the water pump. I do wish there was like a billet version of these because these are so notorious from breaking. I think you only get like 50,000 Ks out of one. You might get lucky and get 70, but eventually it will give out. They should really make an aluminium version. There was, but someone discontinued it. Please bring it back. I was getting so excited to pull this engine out that I was literally using a telephone wire to try to hold this engine from falling off this bed trolley. I don't know what I was thinking. But now we've got the final mount out of the way, and now we can actually go ahead and start pulling the engine out. Everything is unplugged. There's literally just one more bolt right there. Oh no, it's good. I thought it was going to be a lot heavier. Engine's right there. I do have to start stripping the engine. Now we've got a ton of wiring that we've got to clean up. Before I start doing anything to the car and removing all this harness and cleaning it up a little bit, I want to address the engine. So I will be removing these brackets because we're going to be reusing them on the new engine. We're just going to go get them powder coated matte black, put that in the powder coating coating box. Anyways, we're going to remove all the wiring, maybe all this like braided lines and stuff. Turbo's going to stay, charge pipe's going to stay, don't need that. We're going to remove the API catchkin thingy bob, and that's just about it. But mainly just the wiring and that, because that's what I am going to be reusing. Other than that, everything else is just going to stay. But let's get started. In all honesty, these connectors are so unpredictable. Some of them want to come off, some of them don't. As you can see, this one was giving me such a hard time.
At you, bitch!
Look how easy it pulls that off, so you don't have to break it off. And that is exactly why I take my time, because I am so unpredictable. I wasn't even applying that much force. I don't know how that snapped off, but that's going to set me back. But luckily, hopefully there is one on the other harness that I can just exchange. Man, life's tough. So I got the engine harness fully removed, and this was actually quite easy, unlike the next one we're going to be doing. But if we take a look here, you see a Volkswagen, and if you run that part number in there, you actually notice that this is the same one that comes on an S3, A3, any Volkswagen Golf R, GDI, TFSI engine. They all run the same harness. And if you take a look at this, these engine mounts, Volkswagen, what else? Volkswagen. So everything is pretty much Volkswagen, as you can see, and obviously Audi. But anyway, apart from that, we're obviously going to be now removing this one. This is the main harness that we've got to remove. It starts from here and pretty much makes its way here, and then this one comes down there and they meet there at the boot, right? So that's where they go through the cabin. But anyway, I'm going to start off with this side, start stripping, and that way I can just give this engine bay a little bit of a tidy up because it is pretty filthy, as you can quite see. But yeah, let's get started. Now this harness runs from the driver's side of the car, so pretty much it starts there and then it makes its way to the passenger side. I'm pretty much just removing any wiring such as this ground wire, and then we're going to make our way to the other side. And as I go, I pretty much just wrap everything, that way I don't damage any more connectors. And in all honesty, I pretty much wrap everything only because I do try taking care of these parts as much as possible, because I know what it's like when you store parts away. It either moves, it gets damaged, or who knows what. And I try to keep them as in pristine condition as possible because it's going to be going back on the car, and I'm trying to make this car one of the cleanest out there. Now I'm just removing firewall trimming, and yes, I'm using WD-40 to lube this connector because yet again I am stuck on another connector, man. And I know it's possibly not going to be the last one, so Edo, chill out, take a breather. Now I'm removing the ECU because we're not going to be using this either, because it's not going to be compatible with the next engine that's going to be going in here. And now we're going to be removing the fuse box also. Now I got pretty much the harness fully removed from the engine bay, but now comes the hard part, and that's trying to get it out the engine bay because I do want to give the engine bay a clean. But after a bit of research, I did find out that it's not just one big long harness. It does have a split off, and that's pretty much where the second fuse box is, which is under the passenger seat glove compartment. So now I've got to try access that in order to try find that split off. That way I can actually remove the engine side of the harness and leave the cabin side in just for now. There should only be a few screws that hold this glove box into place. I know there's one there, and I think most of them are actually inside the glove box. There's a few panels there that you can actually remove by hand to access the fuse box. But yeah, I think that, yeah, there's one here as well. So we're gonna start removing those. This is the MMI system in the glove box compartment. I still don't know what this thing is or what it does. It does have a CD slot in it. So is it a CD player? I don't know. Let me know. Should I know? I don't know. As we recently removed the engine, we got most of the wiring out of the way. I mean, there's still some there, obviously, but there's still a ton of stuff we got to do before we can actually try to remove that from the firewall. I do want to start off by removing these fenders. We're going to remove those because obviously later on when we're accessing the wheel wells to remove seam sealer, we're going to need full access to be able to obviously remove it and then obviously redo it. But then also we got a ton of stuff that we still got to remove from the actual engine bay of the car. I think there's only about five screws to remove. So one down there, we've got two here, and we've also got two in there. Actually no, we got more, and we got one there, and we got another one up there, and believe it or not, there's actually one behind, but you got to access it through the passenger door, like from the back of the door. I really do wish they had some like carbon options for these fenders, because I reckon they'll look pretty cool, especially if they're like a GT3 RS style. I think that'll look pretty cool. They do have them for the sedans. I don't know why they don't make them for the hatch, but I reckon that would be pretty cool if I had a pair of those. Now I've got the fenders removed, and you can actually see here, this is actually factory, so you can kind of see the color that we're going to be going for. So that's obviously the engine bay, the white. This is pretty much like the little bit of overspray that they get when they're painting. But if you see this, it's like kind of like an olive green. So that's pretty much the color we're going to be going for with the whole undercarriage and the wheel arches and stuff. I want to keep it like that. I don't want it to keep it like that, a little overspray, a little look, so it looks a lot cleaner. Now we're going to remove the windshield wipers, and I think that's the cabin duct. I'm not too sure. Now obviously I got a few more little plastic thingy-mabobs to remove. Do I know what this part is? I probably don't. I don't know the correct term for it. It could be the cabin duct. I'm not sure. Let me know But once we remove that, then I just got the wipers to remove and the engine bay is pretty much done.
We've got pretty much everything removed, so all that's left is pretty much the brake booster, the brake lines, and the wiring. I do need an 11mm socket so I can remove these brake lines because I don't have that, and then obviously the brake booster, and then everything else that's on this firewall should be pretty much done. But yeah, let's move into the inside.
It's gonna be pretty cool to see this car like with no interior at all, like completely gutted. My dad's probably not gonna like it, he'll probably kill me, but let's just hope we get it done sooner than later. I did manage to get tons of cuts and scratches from these parts because this plastic is very sharp. It's as if they pre-sharpen them when they put them on the car. Once I've done that, now I can remove most of the wiring on the passenger side. I mean, that is until I get to the glove box. Soon enough, I reckon people will start calling me the bubble wrap man because the amount of bubble wrap I've used, oh man, that's not even funny. That's not even cheap.
It's only 3 o'clock, but it's getting late. The sun's already going down. If you liked today's video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.